Life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. One moment, everything feels steady, and the next, your plans collapse, your relationships shake, and your peace feels stolen. You know that sinking feeling in your chest when things fall apart? That's when most people crumble. But Stoicism teaches us something different. It teaches us how to become unshakable, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Before we dive in, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just another self-help talk. It's a journey into becoming someone storms cannot break. If you've ever wondered why some people seem unbothered, calm, and strong no matter what life throws at them, this video is for you. Number 1. The foundation of being unshakable. Being unshakable doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means pain doesn't own you. Life will throw punches, loss, betrayal, failure, and the average person reacts with panic or anger. But Stoicism teaches us to pause, to ask, is this within my control? If it isn't, why spend the little energy we have fighting shadows? This simple shift in perspective is the first layer of being unshakable. Imagine a tree with deep roots. The winds blow, storms rage, but it bends, it does not break. That's how you must train your mind. Your emotions will move like branches, but your spirit must stay rooted in clarity. The key is detachment from the things you can't control. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming free. Free for being pulled apart by every little disappointment. When someone insults you, when plans fail, when life feels unfair, you remember, this is not bigger than me. I remain grounded. And sometimes, being unshakable means laughing at life's chaos. Missed your bus? Maybe life wanted you to work on your patience. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Perhaps the gods wanted to test your ability not to become a gladiator in the middle of the street. Humor softens the blows and reminds you, you are still in charge. Number 2, emotional strength versus emotional suppression. Many people confuse being unshakable with being emotionless. They try to act tough, hide their feelings, and pretend nothing affects them. But that isn't strength, it's denial. True Stoic strength is not about suppressing your emotions, but mastering them. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice, he didn't say ignore your emotions. He said you control the way you respond to them. That's a huge difference. Think about anger. You can feel it, but does it control your hands, your mouth, your decisions? Or do you step back, breathe, and say, this fire will not burn me today? That is being unshakable, not pretending the fire isn't real, but refusing to let it consume your soul. The spiritually unshakable person can admit, yes, I am hurt. Yes, I am afraid. Yes, this is painful. But they also know this moment will pass, and I will not collapse with it. That balance, acknowledging feelings without being enslaved by them, is where real strength begins. Number 3, building spiritual resilience. Being unshakable is more than just emotional, it's spiritual. Your spirit is the anchor beneath the surface. It's what gives you the ability to endure things that logic alone can't explain. Logic helps, but spirit carries you when the night is long and the pain feels endless. Spiritual resilience means you don't measure your worth by what happens to you, but by how you respond. When things fall apart, you don't say, why me? Instead, you say, why not me? Why should I expect a life free from difficulty? This mindset transforms suffering into growth. Think about the Stoics. They didn't just deal with small annoyances. Epictetus was a slave. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues and wars. Seneca lived under a paranoid emperor who forced him to take his own life. Yet all of them remained steady. Their spirit was bigger than their circumstances. And here's the truth. Spiritual strength often grows in silence, not in the spotlight. It's when you suffer quietly, when no one is watching, that your soul learns to hold steady. You may even crack a joke to yourself in the middle of despair, because humor keeps you human while the storm tries to make you bitter. Number 4, daily practices to become unshakable. Philosophy means nothing if it stays on paper. To become unshakable, you need daily habits that train your mind and spirit. The first practice is morning reflection. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? How can I prepare myself not to be shaken? Anticipation kills half the power of surprise. The second is evening review. At night, look back on your day. Where did you stay calm? Where did you lose yourself? Write it down. The Stoics believed self-examination was the root of growth. Without reflection, mistakes repeat. With reflection, mistakes become lessons. Another practice is voluntary discomfort. Occasionally, skip a meal, sleep on the floor, walk instead of taking a bus. These little practices toughen you up. They remind you that comfort is not guaranteed, but your peace doesn't have to depend on it. And don't underestimate humor as a daily practice. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at your problems. Laugh at how life always finds new creative ways to test you. After all, if you can laugh in the middle of hardship, what else can possibly defeat you? Number 5, the state of the unshakable person. So, what does it actually look like to be unshakable? It looks like calm when everyone else is panicking. It looks like compassion when others are cruel. It looks like clarity when the world is filled with noise. The unshakable person walks into chaos and brings order, not by force, but by presence. Such a person isn't ruled by ego. They don't need to prove themselves, shout the loudest, or demand respect. Their stability speaks louder than words. You can insult them, betray them, or misunderstand them, and they remain steady because their worth isn't dependent on your approval. The unshakable person lives with quiet confidence, not because life is easy, but because they have trained for its storms. They understand the only true control lies within. Everything else is wind and waves. They are the anchored ship. The storm rages, but they do not sink. And maybe the most important sign of an unshakable person, they know how to smile in the storm. To say life is that all you've got. Because when you can face life's chaos with calm, wisdom, and even humor, you're not just surviving. You are unshakable. Number 6, the role of perspective in unshakable living. Perspective is everything. Two people can face the same storm. One collapses in despair, the other stands firm. What makes the difference? Perspective. The unshakable person sees problems not as personal attacks, but as parts of life's natural flow. They understand that nothing is owed to them, not even tomorrow. This mindset strips away entitlement. Instead of saying, life isn't fair, the unshakable person says, life is what it is, and I will meet it as it comes. That shift alone reduces suffering, because much of our pain doesn't come from events themselves, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those events. When you reframe setbacks as lessons, insults as reflections of the other person, and loss as a reminder of life's fragility, you stop being a victim. Instead, you become a student of existence. Every hardship becomes a classroom, and every storm becomes training. Think of it this way. If you were dropped in the rain without an umbrella, you could complain, curse the clouds, and get soaked anyway, or you could laugh, accept it, and dance your way home. The rain doesn't change, but your spirit does. Number 7, mastery over fear. Fear is one of the strongest forces that shake people. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of death. Fear keeps most people trapped in cages they build for themselves. But to be unshakable, you must look fear in the eye and say, you don't rule me. The Stoics reminded themselves daily of death, not to be dark, but to be free. If you remember that life is temporary, fear loses its grip. Failure doesn't look so terrifying when you know you'll die someday anyway. Rejection doesn't sting so much when you remember time is too short to chase everyone's approval. Fear often comes from overthinking. The unshakable person learns to face things as they are, not as their imagination exaggerates them. They don't fight shadows. They face reality directly. And once you face reality, fear usually shrinks smaller than you thought. A good exercise is this. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Most times, the answer is survivable. And when you realize you can survive it, you become unshakable. Plus, let's be honest, most of the things we're afraid of aren't lions chasing us. They're emails. And if an email can ruin your day, maybe it's time to toughen up. Number 8, relationships and being unshakable. One of the hardest places to remain unshakable is in relationships. We're wired to crave connection, approval, and love. But if you depend completely on others for your peace, you'll always be shaken, because people are unpredictable. The Stoics taught us to love fully, but with wisdom, to care deeply, but not attach our entire existence to someone else's actions. Being unshakable in relationships means enjoying love, friendship, and family without being destroyed if those bonds change or even end. That doesn't mean being cold or detached. In fact, it makes you love more purely. When you stop clinging, you start appreciating. You don't demand perfection. You accept people as they are. And when you accept them, you're less likely to be shattered when they fail you, as humans inevitably do. The unshakable person can love without losing themselves. They can be loyal without being blind. They can forgive without becoming weak. Because their center of gravity isn't in other people, it's within. And that's why their peace is steady. Number 9, the power of silence and stillness. We live in a world that worships noise, constant talking, endless scrolling, non-stop opinions. But the unshakable person isn't carried away by noise. They practice silence. They embrace stillness. Silence gives you clarity. It allows you to hear your own mind instead of everyone else's. Stillness teaches you that peace doesn't come from endless activity. It comes from being able to sit with yourself without distraction, without panic. That's a rare power today. When others are shaken by gossip, trends, or chaos, the unshakable person stays calm. They know not every battle requires their voice. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is say nothing and let the storm pass. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish." Silence protects you from foolishness. And let's be real, most arguments on the internet, they don't deserve your energy. You don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. Sometimes the best clapback is silence, and maybe a little smile that says, "I'm not wasting my soul on this." Number 10, the legacy of the unshakable spirit. Finally, being unshakable isn't just about your own peace, it's about the legacy you leave. People remember those who remain calm in the storm. They look to the unshakable as examples, as anchors in times of chaos. Think about the great Stoics. We remember Marcus Aurelius not just as an emperor, but as a man who stayed grounded while ruling an empire filled with turmoil. We remember Epictetus not as a slave, but as someone who refused to let chains control his spirit. Their legacy is strength, not through conquest, but through resilience. Your unshakable spirit will influence others. Your children, your friends, even strangers will notice the way you carry yourself. When everyone else is falling apart, your calmness becomes a source of hope. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give the world is your unshaken presence. In the end, to be unshakable is to live with a kind of quiet greatness. You may not control the storms, but you control yourself. And long after you're gone, people will remember not the storms you faced, but the way you stood through them. That is your true legacy.